Ice the Richard Kid here, reviewing the E3 2013 Nintendo Conference. Well, going into this conference, everyone is all hyped about the PS4 killing the Xbox One. Where does the Wii fit into all this? Well, right now Nintendo needs to make a statement at this conference because right now the Wii U is kind of selling poorly. And they need to get some awareness out there about what the Wii U is and actually tell us why people should buy a Wii U. But they seem to have taken an interesting strategy of not having a live conference this year and instead having a pre-taped E3 Nintendo Direct. And by interesting strategy, I mean stupid.
Yeah, it's pretty disappointing that this isn't a huge conference like all the other ones. Like, what is this, a Konami conference? The only difference between that and this is that there's stuff that we actually care about at this conference. Plus, the production values of this pre-taping is actually better than the other one. But it really will start to hurt after a while with just Iwata in front of a camera talking to you the entire time. Trust me on this.
Yeah, that's just so lame to talk. Yeah, that's just so lame to talk. Yeah, that's just so lame to talk in front of a camera blandly. Who would want to watch that?
Today, we'd like to deliver directly to you updates on games.
Okay, we all know that we love him to say, directly to you. Directly to you. Okay, had to get out the way. Yet more footage of Pokemon X and Y, okay. Well, honestly, I think it looks cool, and I'm glad Pokemon is becoming 3D, but nothing really newsworthy shown here. Nintendo decides to reveal Super Mario 3D World, which looks kind of like Super Mario 3D Land on paper, and a lot of people think that this game is going to be as shallow as 3D Land. Now, even though 3D Land seems to have critical acclaim, many agreed that Super Mario 3D Land is very dried up in creativity and can come off extremely derivative. So because of how World looks, while some are excited for this game, there are skeptics out there who say this looks as bland as 3D World. I'm sorry, but there's something wrong here. Let me show you some imagery of why I enjoy the art that is video games. The following imagery is what tickles my heart and makes me think fun, especially for reflex-demanding action titles like this. Have you seen stuff like this in Super Mario 3D Land? I don't think so. He's Kitty Mario, doing kitty parkour. Does this look dull to you? They're on water, that looks like fun. Okay, now let's try some slower footage. When you see Mario and Peach shoot fireballs to counteract the fireballs the Fire Bros shoot, you feel happy that they blocked, making you think to quickly shoot another set of fireballs while you jump into the pipes. The pipes practically surround your bodies with fun while multiplying your stimulation of fun because you see two simultaneous stimulations of the feeling of fun, because you are shooting through two pipes at once with both players. And those fireballs now go to hit the Fire Bros simultaneously. This is what we call multitasking, which can actually cause different chains of fun and link them together. Just consider fun its own variable in a mathematic formula, represented by f. What you just saw here was the formula f times 2 plus f times 2 plus f times 2 equals 6f cubed. Of course, it may be more obvious to point out that one player equals 3f cubed. So multiply that by how many players you get. Now, I know some of you may not be good with math and numbers and all, and probably don't know what the heck I'm talking about. All these numbers probably look like witchcraft or a formula to a magic spell. So let's try a scientific explanation with only words. When Mario is running cat paws first into the Goombas, your brain is naturally trying to process information into long-term memory into the hippocampus. But these feelings aren't information and therefore can't be transferred there. So instead taking place while jumping and collecting those coins in timer and immediately hitting that Goomba ahead of you, your brain is releasing dopamine while you're doing heaven knows what here, which is a chemical that stimulates the amygdala, the part of your brain that handles emotion. Right before you proceed to break the plate and ricochet off the head of that smaller worm and perform a parkour kitty dive onto the king worm's head. That chemical, now stimulating your amygdala, is creating a feeling associated with this memory that can't be described in words, since you are not receiving information to the brain but more so receiving a feeling associated with this moment to create the memory in its place. This, my fellow gaming friends, is a positive feeling called fun. Now, if you don't get how Super Mario 3D World delivers fun, then my friend, you must have some kind of mental challenges. Your amygdala isn't functioning properly, which either you might think, I'm too old for that, or maybe many people would claim for you to not have a soul, but that's kind of harsh to assume because in reality, it's the fact that you probably should experience this hands-on when it comes out this holiday, and it will cure you of that damaged amygdala. It should because, quite frankly, with the one exception of the only legit complaint being that Super Mario 3D World does not go back to the sandbox or mission-based style in Super Mario 64, Sunshine, or Galaxy, it's still very reminiscent in the creativity of the legendary Super Mario Galaxy games, minus the gravity tricks. Not so much like the overrated Super Mario 3D Bland. And while it contains 4-player co-op like the new Super Mario Bros. Games, that doesn't mean anything. That only doubles, triples, or quadruples the amount of triggered values of F to your brain. Different values of F depending on which of the distinctive 4 characters you choose to play as rather than trying to create artificial and homogenized values of F like the new Super Mario Bros. Series does. I am going to say that if you still try to compare Super Mario 3D World to any negative connotation such as Super Mario 3D Land, well, now that it has been explained thoroughly, you may have just been proven wrong. So now we have the showcase of Mario Kart 8, and honestly, speaking as someone who has always felt the Mario Kart series was overrated and never really pushed the boundaries of itself as a racer since the Super Nintendo days, it really surprises me how Mario Kart 8 looks. The game looks freaking beautiful, like it's next-gen Mario Kart, and the graphics don't need to look like diabetes. They toned down the amount of color and made it look realistically colored, which I am totally for. The gameplay, on the other hand, makes it look like it wants to break some of the cookie-cutter tropes of Mario Kart, exploring the themes of gravity switching tracks, which seems to have the spirit of F-Zero in there. Meanwhile, the gameplay footage I have seen shows me a more competitive spirit for this game, and don't quote me on this, but the reps have implied the omission of the blue shell. This Mario Kart speaks to me, as it's the first one I've been interested in since the Super Nintendo days. It looks like it wants to win Game of the Year, or at least Racing Game of the Year, and that's what counts. I love that energy I get from games like this. It comes out in spring 2014, which unfortunately the Wii U kinda needs it earlier, but take as long as you need to polish this beautiful bad boy, Nintendo.
Next is the latest installment in the Wii Party series, Wii Party U.
Oh, please don't, Iwata. Please, please don't.
Oh gosh, Iwata, please not this. Well, now here we are at the worst part of the conference, starting with Wii Party U, the sequel to the less than awful Mario Party 8 game, Wii Party. Basically Mario Party with Mii's and slightly better minigames. It makes me honestly wonder, you already have Nintendo Land and Game & Wario on the system, do we need yet another diabetes sugar-coated mediocre minigame compilation on the Wii U? He even mentions Wii Fit U, but what Iwata says next is kinda disturbing.
However, after the Wii U launch, we couldn't release games as smoothly as we had planned. To those of you that have been eagerly awaiting these titles, I appreciate your patience. Here is the new launch timing for Wii Party U and Wii Fit U.
Because there's someone out there going, oh my god, Nintendo is delaying all my casual games. Oh, I'm so upset that I can't play. I bought a Wii U to play a casual, light party game and another fitness game, because that's why I buy video game systems. Oh, woe is me.
Nintendo is very impressed with your drawings on Miiverse, so they're releasing an Art Academy app for Wii U so that you can do even more stuff like add color. By the way, this also means a new Art Academy is actually in development for Wii U. They're just releasing a portion of it later. Throughout all the other conferences at E3, I had counted up to 26 AAA third-party multi-platform titles not confirmed for the Wii U. But now we can actually be positive for once and count the ones that are coming to the Wii U. Let's see. While you look at third-party 3DS games, let's take something else into account. You saw 9 multi-platform AAA titles, plus 2 console exclusives, so let's say 11. We counted 26 games not coming to Wii U across all the other conferences, plus a few exclusives on the other consoles, so let's say about 30 altogether. Add those numbers together, you get 41 games, which makes 11 out of 41, and that basically means the Wii U is getting just barely over 1/4 of the third-party support the other systems get. Honestly, I think it's better than what the Wii had. Trust me, I like this a lot more than what I had to deal with on Wii, but it's still kind of a far cry, no, not that other game that didn't come to the Wii U, from optimum support. Just putting it out there. Actually, more filler footage while I talk to you. I mean, while you look at eShop titles, which features broad indie support, taking advantage of the more indie-friendly environment. Think of this. The fact that Nintendo is listing everything coming to Wii U from third parties is a double-edged sword. It gives a good advertisement to show what's available for the system, and it helps relationships with third parties. The fact that you were able to fit all coming to Wii U in a highlight reel to fit the time restraints of a conference kind of puts it out there that Nintendo does not have as much as the other platforms, and basically has to show everything they have to keep the Wii U's software image strong looking. The Legend of Zelda Wind Waker HD Remake looks pretty, and I mean it. It looks stunning, but I think everyone was wishing to see what the new Zelda for Wii U looks like. We don't need any more Wind Waker HD trailers. I think we have an idea of what we're in for. I just don't think that a remake of the Wind Waker really constitutes something major to show at an E3 conference. Oh, and by the way, whoever thought this game should be priced at $60 MSRP, that is a complete joke. Although, Mr. Iwata does tell us about a few neat features of this remake, like being able to put messages in a bottle, utilizing the Tingle Tuner for Miiverse messages to be shared. Messages from other people's games will wash up on your shore, and vice versa. It sounds cool for sharing tips and opinions and other things about the game. You can pick up Wind Waker HD for Wii U, October 2013. Wonderful 101 from Platinum Games. Wow, this game looks like Pikmin, Beautiful Joe, and Power Rangers mixed in a blender, with a dash of cocaine. From the team that brought you classics under the Capcom brand such as Devil May Cry, Beautiful Joe, and Okami, furthermore bringing you gems independently like Bayonetta and Vanquish, Platinum Games under a new IP from Nintendo brings you this wild and crazy looking action game. If you has a Wii U, get it! Or you suck! Come on, this game looks like fun. Fun! In fact, if you don't believe me, go check out me playing it on my channel. Seriously, I had fun.
Alright guys, we all know you want to see that new Retro Studios project. You know, the guys that worked on the Game of the Year candidate Metroid Prime, and then they reinvigorated Donkey Kong with Donkey Kong Country Returns. But we want them to get away from Donkey Kong and move on to something else. Something new. What if they work on the longly awaited Star Tropics 3? Or wait a second, what if they bring back something from the GameCube era? Something hardcore and dark and M-rated, like a new Eternal Darkness. Or what if they just return to Metroid Prime? You know, return to its roots and bring back Metroid after that travesty Metroid Other M and work on Metroid Prime 4? Or what if this innovative company who works for Nintendo makes a brand new IP that is so innovative and so groundbreaking that it puts Wii U on the map? It's what we're all expecting, something groundbreaking, something with a big scope. Alright, Retro Studios, what do you innovative, hardcore, and spectacular minds have for us today? Why a rehash?
If you're not aware why I'm not happy about the reveal of Donkey Kong Country Tropical Freeze, which sounds like the name of a Slurpee, putting us already off to a bad start, let me explain. Everyone at E3 was expecting Retro Studios to break new ground and make something that would attract the audience that only, well... Okay, let me show you some visuals to give you an idea of where Metroid Prime and Donkey Kong Country Returns sit nowadays. Okay, so for a verbal explanation, let's just say that back in the 6th generation, look at the titles Metroid Prime hung with, and look at what their latest title during the 7th generation does not hang with. What I'm trying to say is, what all those titles have in common, yes, they are mainstream titles, but they're not for casuals. They were crafted with a genuine appeal to hardcore gamers. But they're not just meant for dude bro gamers either. They're meant for, well, basically the video game equivalent of the Oscar crowd. Games that the most unbiased gamers love because they break ground, and if someone didn't like them, they would be locked up in an insane asylum. Hell, these games don't even have a loud vocal minority against them. They are just games that innocently move hardware consoles and define the generation that they are in. For Retro Studios to have developed such acclaimed titles like the Metroid Prime trilogy, and then stepping down to such a safe, status quo title like Donkey Kong Country Returns on the Wii, kinda raises raises a lot of questions, but now they are enlisted to make an unwanted sequel when everyone was expecting that killer app or that bleeding edge game from Retro Studios, or hell, they could even be making something that is familiar to a Nintendo franchise, but still has a big scope to fit all of Retro's talent in there, like, you know, a new Zelda game. It just feels like Nintendo deflated a balloon by not delivering on expectations. Heck, you know how I've been worshipping Watch Dogs? That's kinda what I was hoping the next Retro Studios game would make me do. Mr. Iwata, is Donkey Kong's fur really supposed to sell me? I mean, do you remember Donkey Kong Jungle Beat? It's been done before. Right after this conference, I was panicking because I was hoping that Retro Studios wasn't developing this game, and that their game was still unannounced. But nope, it said Retro Studios was developing this game. It saddened me because it was wasted potential, and it means that we won't see a real blockbuster Retro Studios title for a long time because they most likely have not even started it yet. Now, to be fair, if you can actually get over all that disappointment, this game isn't going to be bad. It's just going to be picked on a lot for showing up at the wrong place at the wrong time. The game looks solid, and that amazing dynamic camera adds a lot of thrill to the ride you are in. It will sell quite well, and move plenty of Wii U units, but it won't attract the audience that are looking for that killer app with an anti-stereotypical vibe that will make them buy the system just solely for that game, an audience that the Wii U desperately needs.
Next is Bayonetta 2 from Platinum Games.
Now that's more like it.
Bayonetta 2 looks amazing. A sequel to the critically acclaimed and basically the best hack-slash game of the previous generation, exclusively for Wii U. It just... wow, look at this. Devil May Cry just hasn't ever been the same, but thank goodness this is here in its place. This is going to be one of the Wii U's best gems. I know it and I can't wait for it. Okay, if you're a Wii U owner, hell, debatably even if you don't have a Wii U, but if you do own a Wii U and don't buy this game, you are a terrible person. Buy something else besides Mario and Zelda when Nintendo actually has against-type exclusive content. Oh, fun fact. This is the 4th ever M-rated game Nintendo will publish. I mentioned this because I have to point out for people who are saying that Nintendo will tone down Bayonetta because of their censorship history. Look at her chaps, or whatever. Look right here. Look right here. Do you see censorship there? There's cleavage. That wasn't there before Nintendo had exclusive rights. So shut up, you stupid haters who think Nintendo censors everything. Gosh. This game comes out in 2014. Get it, or you suck. Okay, here is where some of you who say that Nintendo's conference was a complete failure are wrong. Not just with games like Bayonetta 2 and Wonderful 101 around, but also this game, only being known by the working title of X, being developed by a talented team known as Monolith Soft, comprised of X-Square developers who brought you classic titles such as Chrono Trigger and Xenogears, making up their own studio who would eventually get purchased by Nintendo to make exclusive titles like Baten Kaitos for the GameCube and the legendary swan song for Wii, Xenoblade Chronicles. This next game is an open-world Japanese RPG, and it looks beautiful. Oh my gosh. It pushes the Wii U hardware to the limit. Can you really keep doubting Nintendo when they have something that looks like this?
Hello! Game of the Year candidate here! This is your reason to buy a Wii U!
Monolith Soft is the only JRPG developer right now who I think gets every problem that other JRPGs have and makes them non-existent. Open world gameplay with no invisible walls, relatable well-crafted characters with a well-written script and well-written dialogue, a story that isn't uptightly cliche, involved gameplay that is in no way dated, pushing the hardware to the limits. This is the kind of game I expected out of Retro Studios, but I think Monolith Soft will be the one to put the Wii on the map when the game comes out. It'll be better than Final Fantasy 15, and this definitely shows a glimmer of hope for the JRPG genre. Just you wait.
We have one final game to show today. Please take a look.
Okay, this is obviously a trailer for the new Smash Bros. Game according to that logo, so let's see what we got. 3DS art style for the game is pretty interesting, but what about...
I guess the trailer's over, so it's time to give you my verdict. Or not? That hair.
Wow, Mega Man and Smash Brothers. Okay, well now that I've finally contained myself, let me go back to the verdict while you watch Mega Man kick ass. A lot of people say about this conference that it was a complete failure because Nintendo showed nothing that stepped outside of their comfort zone. Some people seem to mistakenly think that Super Mario 3D World is another 3D Bland because they don't actually look close enough at the trailer. Oh, they're resurrecting Pikmin for a third game. Oh, more Mii games. Oh, an HD rehash of an old Zelda game. And not announcing a new one. Well, none of those things really shocked the world, but I think there were two major problems with this conference. One, the decision not to have a live conference at E3 was an abysmal one. Imagine crowds cheering at the showcase of the beautiful world at X, or imagine the crowd roaring when they saw Mega Man in the new Smash Brothers. That epic atmosphere just wasn't there. I think the biggest thing that ruins the conference, though, probably was the reveal of Donkey Kong Country Tropical Freeze. It has absolutely no purpose this holiday, and it's kinda out of place. Everyone wanted to see what Retro Studios was up to at this conference. So, once this game got announced, everyone stopped caring 2/3 of the conference in, and Metroid fans lost hope for a new Metroid. Wonderful 101? Bayonetta 2? X? What are those games? If the Retro Studios project were as groundbreaking as X, or had as big of a scope, maybe, for better terms, you guys would probably be alright with me giving the conference a B+. But yes, I am actually saying that the reveal of Donkey Kong Country Tropical Freeze damages this conference's grade a lot. Nintendo showed they had content for Wii U, and the Amazing Smash Bros. Reveal was cool too, but playing it a little too safe, and the huge slap in the face with disappointment from Donkey Kong brings it down to a C+.
But you know, the Xbox One really was burned by the PlayStation 4. In fact, it was burned so badly that it needs to be taken to the hospital, and there needs to be an ambulance, so let's get one. Attention, attention, we need a bus down here at A3. Get the burn unit and bring an ambulance. Wii U, 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 Wii U.